Hey everyone, I'm here today with a 2-for-1. I'm going to be talking about the Cold Steel FGX boot blade and stupid Amazon reviews. So let's get to the knife first. This is the Cold Steel FGX boot blade. Now, I would not, as someone who likes boot knives, I would not put this in my boot because number one, it wouldn't be not the legal length. I don't need those problems. Number two, it looks like it would be extremely uncomfortable. Number three, it doesn't have a sheath. Number four, looks like it would be extremely uncomfortable. But anyway, I digress. So as you might have guessed right now, this is not your typical knife. It is not made out of steel, even though it's made by Cold Steel. It is actually made out of a plastic-like material called grivery. And if I remember correctly, Benchmade uses grivery to make some of their knife scales. This particular knife, which came with this little ring, by the way, this particular knife is made out of this grivery material, which is kind of like a fiberglass reinforced plastic that's supposed to be a little stronger than usual. Now, this looks like it has a blade here, and it's kind of hard to tell. I'm trying to focus here. It's got like a very, very slight edge on it. So, you go like this, it's not going to cut you. But I think if you really press down and drag to, you might get, might not feel the best. But it's not knife-like at all. You cannot cut paper, you cannot cut cardboard, you cannot cut the thinnest string. That's not the purpose. The main purpose, as it's presented in the listings and the promotions for this, is basically right here. It's that point. This point is extremely sharp, like really, really pointy. And I'm hoping I can focus a little bit on that. This is an extremely pointy point. Now, this does have a little bit of flex in it, not too much. And as you can tell here, it has this ridge on both sides, so it reinforces it. So you've kind of got this wide blade-like area here, and then you have some reinforcement that goes up this way, and then it takes it right to the point to try and give it some stability. And the handle is actually a slightly different material. The purpose they were looking for is to make it be a little bit grippy. The handle is fantastic. Cold Steel should make every one of their knives with this handle. It's like it has awesome grip. It's very comfortable, and actually the whole grip is pretty good. I mean, check that out. It's a perfect grip for me. Then you have the guard here. Like, this would be a great setup for an actual like steel knife. Really, really good. But the purpose of this, the way they present it, is to have inexpensive options that you can put around the house or your car or your yard. I mean, the thinking is that, if you have a knife and a gun for defensive reasons, that's great. But isn't it better to have 2 knives or 2 guns or 3 knives or 3 guns? At a certain point, you're going to go broke because, if you try to buy a bunch of really high quality knives or things like that nature, it's going to be ridiculous. And then do you really want to spend a lot of money on a high quality knife that you're not going to really use much? So the thinking with this is, for $5.99, you buy something like this, and it's basically good as a puncturing tool. Let's leave it at that. In a defensive situation, and in the listing, they actually suggest maybe you put it in a flower box, maybe you put it in in a shed outside, because it's plastic. It can get wet. It can be in the cold. It can be in the hot weather. It's not going to get damaged. Nothing's going to happen to it. So, I think that their thinking is that some people might buy 5 or 10 of these and maybe put them, maybe one in the basement and one in the shed, maybe hide 1 or 2 outside. And if you lose it, forget about it, damage it, it's not a big deal. It's $5.99. But it's also inexpensive so that you could buy multiples if need be. So basically, this is kind of trite, but it is what it is. And for $5.99, I think it's a fair price, and it has its purposes. Now, with that said, we get to the Amazon review part. Some of the reviews I saw, not all of them, it was only a small percentage, but some of the reviews I saw were ridiculously stupid. I mean, people were complaining, saying, This knife is made of plastic. It's a plastic knife. Well, it said right in the listing, it's made out of grivery, comma, a fiberglass reinforced plastic. It says it right in there. And if you know anything about knives, you probably know that grivery is often used on scales in knives. Now, I know Benchmade uses it, but I believe some other places companies might use it too. So right there, it's telling you it's plastic. This knife is plastic. You can kind of tell by looking at it that it's plastic. And they're not the only people who make plastic knives. I know I have one by K-Bar. I think it's called a shark bite, or that might be, I don't know. I have too many. But it's basically one of those kind of L-shaped knives where you kind of pick it up and it has the curved blade. Made of plastic. I mean, it's something people do. So, they looked at the picture, didn't realize it's plastic. Don't know if they read the description where it says it was plastic on a few occasions. Other people, both good and bad, mentioned it's plastic, and this still didn't occur to them. Some people, this was actually my favorite. They said, this is a training knife. Well, this is not a training knife. If you ever use this as a training knife, nobody's going to want to train with you because this thing is sharp. Now, Cold Steel makes training knives. They make them in a lot of different styles. They make, trench knives, karambits, bowies, or is it Bowie? And their training knives actually have what looks like a black bead that's molded onto the top, so that if you are training and you jab somebody with it, it doesn't hurt. All they feel is a little bit of pressure. This will hurt. This will draw blood. Even if you don't really put it in someone hard, like just kind of maybe go like this with it, it's gonna puncture them. It's like I said, it's that sharp. Now, if you were to use this on multiple occasions, it would probably dull out or maybe bend or snap. I kind of see this as a one-use thing, but for someone to say this is... So first of all, we had the fools who didn't know it was plastic. Okay, like I said, we'll put them in category 1. Category 2 is the doofuses who thought this was actually a training knife. No, it's not for training. And then number 3, we had people who said, this is a toy. I gotta tell you something. I would not give this to a kid for a toy. Like they're saying it's a toy, like you just give it to 6-year-old Junior and say, here you go, Junior. If Junior's playing with his friends and he sticks this in them, you have a big liability situation. Because this is actually, or if your kid even falls on it or something, this is pointy. I don't know how, it's really pointy. So I don't see how you want to give this to a kid as a toy. But if you get a chance, like I said, it's the Cold Steel FGX Boot Blade 1. So go check it out and then check out some of the comments. And I was just amazed reading some of them that they don't seem to read the descriptions and they don't seem to know what a training knife is. And they actually think this is a toy that they would probably give to little kids. I don't know, kind of strange. But let me just give you some basic measurements on this. And by the way, it is pretty light as you would imagine. So let's do the quote-unquote blade area here. It is just about 5 inches. Let's see here. Yep, 5 inches from the top of the handle right to the tip. The handle from the guard to the bottom is just a hair over 4.5 inches. So that's pretty decent size. And then for those of you who didn't like addition in school, it's about 9.5 inches. As far as thickness goes, let's see, the thickest part of the blade is 1.15 inches. And the part of the blade that has this tapered area is about 0.29 inches. Now, obviously, that kind of goes down to 0.22 and then 0.18 down here. But for the body of it, you're looking at about 0.29. And then the swell in the palm right here is 0.78. And over here, 1.01. So it's good. It's pretty substantial. No complaints. Like I said, for $5.99, I don't think it's a bad kind of backup thing. My main goal for getting it is I just thought it was pretty cool, and I figured it might be nice to bring it to you guys and, just do, I don't know if I want to call it a review, but what I'm thinking of actually doing is finding some stuff to stab with it, just to kind of see how it holds up and exactly how it does. I'm trying to think of things I can use. One of them would be kind of compressing some cardboard and seeing how it does with that. And then I'm trying to think of some other things that might be good. I mean, obviously, it's a little tricky because there are certain things you just know it's going to go through, so it's stupid to even try. And there's certain things it's just not going to go through, so you don't want to try that. So you're trying to look for things that may be interesting. So I'll keep that up, and like I said, it might be kind of fun just to take a stab at stabbing things. But I digress. You have a good one. I will see you later. And please, if you watch these videos and you find the slightest bit informative, entertaining, or anything else, please hit the subscribe button. The like button would be appreciated. Talk to you later.